Thank you, and welcome to this great conference. It's good to be here, and I was here also last year, so welcome. So this talk is going to be about upgrading your database, the Postgres database, and why and how. So I'm a principal systems engineer and working at Enterprise DB, and this is my email address, and I have a pretty much active Twitter account over there. If you want to follow. So, who am I? I'm working on Postgres since 1998. I'm responsible for the Postgres YAM repo, where we host about 110 plus software. And I'm also a Fedora CentOS packager as well. I used to break websites, but then some people revoked my access over there because I don't know Python that much. Once I learn Python, I will continue breaking the website, hopefully. And I live in Istanbul, Turkey, but I come to UK pretty often. Like, every time I come here, they ask, are you here for a holiday? No, I'm here for business anyway. So please tweet. I mean, I can see everyone has phones, like smartphones in there, but I can't see many tweets in here. This is the official hashtag. Please tweet about the conference so that other people will know more about us and so that we can tweet. Okay? Thank you. So let's start. One of the confusions about Postgres has been, I'm using Postgres 9. Right. How many people are using Postgres 9? No, you are not using Postgres 9. Thank you. No one is using Postgres 9, actually. It should be something 2 digits first. Okay? So currently, first of all, we have 2 digits major and 1 digit minor version. So the latest version is 9.5.3, stable version I'm talking about. So this is when you say I'm using 9, it's incorrect. Please make sure that you are saying it correctly, which is 9.5 or 9.4. Because in every major version, we introduce new bugs. We introduce new version. We introduce new features. Thank you. Thank you. So, however, it's going to change. In the next release, it will be either 10.0, then 11.0. So we will have only 1 digit, probably, for the first measure. Or we may have 10.0.0 or 10.0.1. We haven't decided yet. But it's changing. Eventually, now we will be able to say, I'm using Postgres 10, or 11, or 12. Okay? So no more 2 version numbers. But the actual numbering hasn't been decided yet. Okay? And so yeah, we are trying to avoid this. So what changes between the major versions? We introduce, again, new features, of course, and the incompatibilities as well. This is what this talk is about. So what about the changes between minor versions? We just fixed the bugs or data loss issues, security issues. Okay? So let's talk about minor versions updates first. When we say minor version update, it means staying on the same major version. So 9.5.2 to 9.5.3. Okay? So no application changes should be required between these. And it's easy. If you are using a package manager, you just run the YAM update or apt this upgrade, whatever the command is, or Windows or macOS upgrade. It's just enough. The only thing is it requires a restart. It doesn't have to first, but you should update the restart as soon as possible. The only thing, again, from the package manager point of view is, many package managers perform an automatic restart. So don't upgrade your database in the middle of the day, like I have done a few times before. Okay? Sometimes I forget that I'm the maintainer of the RPM packages. I sometimes forget they are all restarted automatically, but they are. Then suddenly a bus comes, or our services has stopped for a while. No, I mean, I just restarted. I just update. No, please don't do this, okay? Make sure that you have a downtime for this. However, sometimes it may require some extra attention. So always check the release notes before performing a minor version update. Okay? Sometimes we have to create the indexes from scratch, or we have to apply something. It's rare, but it may be. Okay? So always check the release notes first. And another thing about the minor version upgrades are they are cumulative. For example, if you are upgrading from 9.5.0 to 9.5.3, it includes everything between 0.0 and 0.3 release. So you should read all the release notes. You should read all the release notes from the minor version that you are using up to the minor version that you want to upgrade. Because that minor version is going to include all the changes that you have to do. So if there is a change between in 9.5.1 that requires some extra attention from you, it's also applicable to 9.5.3. Okay? So make sure that you read all the release notes. Okay? Any questions so far? Great. Well, not great anyway. So what about major version upgrades? What about major version upgrades? So when you change the first 2 digits for now, it means we are upgrading the major version. So if it is 9.4.8 to 9.5.3, now we are talking about the major version upgrades. Now this is what the talk is about. This is what takes too much time. This is what it takes extra attention from both developers and the system administrators and everyone. Okay? First of all, data files are not compatible. Unlike some other databases, or there are some other databases out there, some at least, that you can use the older data files against the newer ones. But we don't have this. So in order to perform the upgrade, we should go through a special process. Okay? And again, this talk is about those upgrades. So what are the issues? First of all, no one loves downtime. When I did some consultancy for Skype like almost 10 years ago, I forgot the word downtime. They don't even allow, normally, unless something happens, a restart. Okay? Of course, that was the most strict environment that I have ever seen. But for example, if you are working in a bank or similar, you should probably be careful about not restarting your database or not upgrading in the middle of the day, for example. Okay? So you should plan a downtime for upgrading your database. This is the first thing. Second thing is application compatibility. You will have to review your application on each major version upgrades. We may change something. We may change the output of something. We may add new signatures to something. Okay? So make sure that you always test your application against new versions. But good thing is, those changes are documented in the release notes. They are clearly written in the release notes. We have a section about the incompatibilities. Just go there, read them, and make sure that your applications are following those changes, if you are using those features anyway. Okay? So please read the release notes all the time. Okay? They are all documented. I'm not going to say read the fine manual just to be kind, but please read them. Okay? And what about the extensions? Please check them prior to the upgrade process. Because there may be a lazy package maintainer who doesn't build one of your greatest extensions on the recent Postgres server. If you are using IP4R on 9.4, and if you don't have IP4R on 9.5, make sure that you have a package first, or you compile it by yourself first. okay? Or it is make sure that it has support for the new version. If you are using your own extensions, if you have your, if you have developed your own extensions, make sure that they are also compiled with the new version as well. So make sure that you test your extensions prior to the upgrade process. Okay. And what about lifetime support? Why should we upgrade? First of all, the community supports 5 major releases at once. For example, currently we support 9.1 to 9.5. It means no bug fixes or nothing, or no security fixes, nothing are entering 9.03 now. And this year, toward the end of this year, we will, I think this year, right, we will give up support for 9.1. It sounds a bit crazy, like it's been, I sometimes feel that it's been released yesterday. Remember, in 9.0 we had in-core replication, which was a great revolution for everyone. Now we don't support this, that release. Okay. 9.1, which is the first release that we introduced synchronous replication, it will be unsupported this year. So you have a strong reason to keep your servers up to date, please. Because however, of course, please note that there are multiple companies out there in the community who gives you support for paid support if you want to use it for longer versions. But that's a different thing. Okay? What about the platform changes? Sometimes you want to upgrade from Windows to Linux. Oh, no ranting, please. Okay. Or you want to go from PPC to Intel platform, whatever. So please make sure that your database can be compiled on the newer platform as well. Okay? These are the issues. Any questions so far? Okay. So let me remind you the reasons why we should be up to date. First of all, security fixes. This is critical, okay? Because some of our releases include security fixes which you should apply immediately, okay? Second thing is bug fixes. Sometimes we apply some fixes to avoid data corruption. So probably you won't want to wake up in the morning at 2 a.m. or whatever in the night about the database incident, about the data loss. And of course, you won't have the backups, or your backups won't work. This is something that we discussed last year in my talk. I asked the attendees about how many people take the backups. Well, most people raise their hands. And okay, now the question is, how many people test the backups? Oh, how many people? Seriously, how many people test the backups? Okay, how many people have the backups? Oh, okay. Much better than last year. Great. Great, we are improving. Perfect. Okay. So, great. Okay. So, new features. 9.6, for example, is coming this year. Hopefully in September or October-ish. Depends, of course, always. It will be released when it is ready. This is the official answer from Tom Lane over the last few years. And if you want to use those features, like parallel sorting and etc., you should upgrade to 9.6. This is a very good reason, okay? However, good thing is, you don't have to wait for 9.6.0 to be released before testing, because lots of packages are out there, like Windows, Linux, or macOS packages are out there if you want to test 9.6. Just do it first, okay? So, the question is, how do we perform the upgrades? In order to perform the upgrades, the first thing is installing it. We can't upgrade before installing it. So, if it's a source code installation is easier, just use a new directory and just install it, compile it. Who's using source code installation, by the way, in here? Magnus, no. Really, in production? Well, great, you? Perfect. How many people are using the packages, like RPM, Debian, etc.? How many people are using Postgres? Oh, okay, great. How many people are using Oracle? Great, great. You're still alive. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. How many people are using MongoDB? Just out of curiosity. Great. You're happy. Wow. Awesome. So, again, just a reminder for everyone. If you wanna, if you're upgrading if you're installing new packages from using the package manager, if you are using Debian or Ubuntu or whatever, they allow parallel major version installation. So you can install 9.4 and 9.5 and 9.6 in parallel, which is a great thing. Okay. But I mean, of course, the whole list depends on the operating system. I don't think each Ubuntu version supports every Postgres release, but anyway, there should be a list. And Red Hat and Fedora and CentOS or Scientific Linux, whatever, their own RPMs, they support only one major version, unfortunately. So if you are using the stock RPMs from Red Hat or CentOS or Fedora, whatever, you can only install the version which is provided by the operating system. So for example, if you are using Red Hat 7, the latest and greatest, only 9.2 is available by default. However, recently, they announced the software collections, software collections, I think the name is. And so they support more than one major version. However, they are still not in parallel. So you can install either 9.2 or 9.4. But the good thing is, it supports an upgrade process. It doesn't guarantee, but there's a well-written code which allows you to upgrade from 9.2 to 9.4 in case you want to upgrade everything using Red Hat RPMs. Okay? However, the good news, the community RPMs, they allow also parallel major version installation like the Debian packages and also Windows. Okay? So, let's go the old school way. I love old school way. It always works. I mean, 80s. Everyone loves 80s. It always works. Not the clothes, but anyway. So it's supposed to work all the times. It's supposed to work, except when the data is corrupt. You probably wouldn't be aware of this until you start restoring your data. For some reason, there is a data loss bug or data corruption bug somewhere which you didn't upgrade prior to that one. Your data was corrupted. You wasn't aware of this. While you're restoring your data, you notice that you get a notification like duplicate key, blah, blah, blah thing. Okay? So you can use pgdump. Okay, who hacked my slide? No, not pgdump all, please. Okay. Okay, no pgdump all, please. It's broken by design, anyway. There's a new option in 9.3, not new anyway, in 9.3, which uses multiple CPUs to dump your data. However, it's not a big game for large databases. Please, when I say large database, let's talk about a few terabytes. A few years ago, I got an email from someone, I don't want to disclose their name anyway, say their name anyway. They said, we have a huge database, and we want to get some support by upgrading your database. Okay, sure. How large is your database? 100 megabytes. Well, large is this. See? This is large, for example. Or if you have a few terabytes of database, this is starting to be large. Other than this, sometimes, I mean, one of the problems between large and other things, we sometimes get confused between large and important. I have a database on my personal website, which is 160 megabytes, and I get dumped every day. Because it's very critical for me. I keep up my personal data over the last 10 years. Okay? It's critical for me, but it's not big. it takes like half a minute to perform the upgrade with PG upgrade anyway. Okay. So a tip: use PG dump of higher major version if you want to use that one. The cons: it may take a long time. Of course, if you have a large database. So there is a multiple parallel worker option added in 8.4 to PG restore. It may not be a big game for large data sets, because we will only use one worker for one table. If you have a huge table, then it's not a big game for you. Okay? So don't expect, like if you use 10 workers, don't expect 10 times faster process as compared to the regular one. Okay? So, however, it works across different operating systems, mostly, usually, well, probably. Okay? So it depends. However, this should work. I mean, this is supposed to work. At least you have an option to make it work. Okay. So what about the on-disk upgrade? Okay. This was the option that we used years and years and years and years ago. But then Bruce Momchin came with PG Migrator, and which turned out to be PG Upgrade. And it's not needed for minor version upgrades, by the way. It's about major version upgrades. Again, for the minor versions, just apply the update and restart your database. That should be enough. Okay? So first option would be the check option. It checks the binary compatibility between the two clusters. Okay? So what happens about PG Upgrade is, first, of course, you have to shut down your database. Okay? You have to shut down your database. So there will be a downtime. After shutting down your database, it dumps and restores the structures, means the system tables. Under normal circumstances, the data files should be the same, but the system tables should be different between the major versions. Okay? I mean, we try to avoid any changes in the data files for now. We are trying to avoid this. This is what it is written in the manual file of PG Upgrade. So there is a link mode, means it uses the symbolic links, or hard links, I'm sorry. Anyway, links to copy your data. And it has a parallel mode, which also speeds up the process. However, there's a problem. There is no rollback. If you have a problem with, for example, if you upgrade from 9.4 to 9.5, and if you encounter a problem, there is no rollback on the specific database, or on the specific instance, I mean. Okay? Of course, if you have a backup somewhere, if you have a replication somewhere, you can keep using it. But if you have only one single server, make sure that you have enough backups or something, whatever, just in case you want to roll back to the previous major version. Okay? However, it's fast. I mean, it should be fast. For a terabyte of database, it should take it should take a minute or so to perform the upgrade. Because of course, it depends. I mean, it depends. It depends on the number of relations and etc. Blah blah. But it depends. But it should be like minutes or so. Okay. What about the streaming replication slaves? You can't upgrade the streaming replication slaves with PG upgrades. However, as written in the official documentation, you can use rsync from the new upgraded cluster to the old replica and continue from there. That's an option, of course. So again, just a reminder for everyone, Red Hat and Fedora own RPMs provides a C code for upgrading your database using PG upgrade. Okay? So if you want to, let's say you upgrade from Fedora 23 to Fedora 24 or Red Hat 6 to Red Hat 7 or whatever, or 9.2 to 9.4 on Red Hat RPMs, they provide on-disk upgrade support, which is nice. So when you boot to your new machine, you have the new version, hopefully. Again, there is no rollback. Okay. For the community RPMs, the RPM maintenance, the lazy guy needs to fix it. I don't know who is, but he needs to fix the RPMs first. There is supposed to be upgrade path, but it's broken. So don't use the upgrade code in the PGD RPMs. Okay? So, what about the replication solutions and upgrade solutions with triggers? This again are one of our older friends. Okay, it used to work. It still works anyway. So Slonie, Londiste, Bucardo. Slonie uses triggers. Means duplicate writing. Means overhead. The reason is when you use a Slonie replication solution, it writes the changes to a separate table and uses the Sloan daemons to replicate the data. Okay? So yeah, we are talking about replication in here, but Slonie can be used for Meijin version upgrades as well, because it just replicates the data changes. So using Slonie, you can replicate from Windows 9.3 to Linux 9.5. You can replicate your data from there. Means this is an upgrade. Okay? Replication, so an upgrade process, because we are replicating from 9.3 to 9.5. Okay? So again, it uses separate tables to track the changes, which is a bit like overhead. However, as compared to PG dump and PG restore, there is less downtime. If we can, of course, it may take too long to sync the databases, depending on the data sets and the changes. Eventually, when you want to perform the switchover or failover, whatever, finish the upgrade process, I mean, it should take just a few minutes to point the applications to the new server. Okay? And there is no large object replication. So if you are using large objects, this won't work. Because it's currently, as far as I know, they are not available with triggers, regular triggers. What about the maintenance? If you are adding lots of tables to your replication or database, I'm sorry, or if you are performing lots of DDL operations, no, this is not for you, because you have to do it manually with Slonie by using the Slonie Perl tools thing. Okay. However, if you don't have large objects, if you don't have lots of DDL stuff on your database, Slonie is a good option. I love Slonie. It saved my life over the last few years, but I mean, that keeps that love apart from me for a while, because now we have logical replication framework, which starts a new era in the Postgres world. Okay? So this is a framework for online upgrades. Again, replication. Okay? When I say upgrades, now we are talking about mostly about replication. Okay? In the base, at least. So it streams the modifications performed by SQL. This is a sentence that I took from the official documentation. Okay? So this is the major change as compared to the streaming replication. Okay? So there are two concepts in here. First of all, replication slots, and then replication sets. The tools that I'm going to mention from now on, are going to use this framework. And in the next few years, every tool probably will be based on this framework. So all the restrictions or all the features are available for most of the upgrade solutions. Okay? So of course now it performs much better than the trigger-based solutions. Another good news is compared to streaming replication, of course, it allows per database or table replication. It means so you can select some specific tables or specific schemas just to replicate your data. Okay. Again, a reminder, it works only starting 9.4 and above. And another good thing, it works across different platforms. For example, PPC on Linux to 64 bits on macOS. Because we are just streaming the changes. It works only with streaming, not archiving the WAL files. Okay. Also, you have to make sure that there are no compatibility issues between the major releases. For example, if there is a new data, I'm sorry, if a data type has been removed from 9.6, and if you are using it 9.4, you will not be able to upgrade your database unless you make some hacking or etc. Okay, so this is also a general problem for the other application solutions as well. Okay, and it's faster than 9.5 and above, by the way. So the major difference is we have to change the WAL level to logical. Okay, this is something new which was added in 9.4. Currently, it does not yet replicate the DDLs. So, of course, the two solutions that I'm going to mention right now have some like workarounds for this problem, but they don't natively replicate DDL, and still improving. Okay, so there are some tools using logical replication. I think Simon is going to mention more about PG Logical in his talk. I'm assuming, of course, anyway. And also, I have lots of slides about PG Logical, BDR, PG Logical, XTB, and I didn't follow recently. But I think Slony is doing some work in progress code about using logical decoding framework. So instead of using triggers, Slony will also going to benefit from the logical decoding as well. Okay. So PG Logical. Has anyone how many people has heard about PG Logical? Oh, that's great. Perfect. That's perfect. Seriously perfect. So this is an application and upgrade solution for Postgres. Okay, and it's open source, developed by Second Quadrant guys. And there's a link in here. By the way, you can find my slides on the internet somewhere. If you use my Twitter, if you follow my Twitter account, or you don't have to follow, but if you visit my Twitter account, you will see the links after the talk. Okay, and it's an extension to Postgres, and it's been submitted to 10.0.0, whatever the number is going to be. I don't know. Okay, so we don't know, so it's going to be 10.0.0.0.0 or whatever the version number is, but it's an extension submitted to Postgres, inclusion to the Postgres core. So it's going to be part of the Postgres core, hopefully, in the next release. Hopefully, okay? We don't promise anything until it gets committed. But this is the target for the next release. Okay, inclusion of PG Logical into the core is a target for the next release, which is great. To be honest, I was hoping to be included for 9.6, but it didn't happen. And so you can use it to upgrade from 9.4 and above to 9.5 or above. If you're currently running, say, 9.4 something, just you can use PG Logical to upgrade to 9.5. Okay? And just a quick note. If you are using unlocked tables, of course, they can't be upgraded. Right now, at least. Okay? So, again, no DDR replication. As I told you, this is because of the restrictions in the logical decoding framework for now. And however, PG Logical provides a replicate DDL command function, which allows you to replicate your DDLs across nodes in a safe manner. And another thing before running PG Logical is don't forget to add PG Logical to the shared parallel libraries. Okay, and I think there are RPMs and Debian packages or packages, deb packages out there on the internet, or you can compile it by yourself if you want from the source code. So it should be easy to install. But again, this is an extension to Postgres right now. Okay. And it can use the track commit timestamps as on, and there is no graphical user interface yet. But hopefully one day in PG admin or somewhere else, there will be a graphical user interface in the next few years, which will make it easier for everyone to use. I mean, not everyone. When I'm saying everyone, I'm saying everyone. Okay. I don't prefer GUI anyway, Like I'm 40 years old this year. I'm still using my command line interface to start my LibreOffice. Okay, so anyway, but still GUI is GUI. People like GUI. Managers like graphical user interface as well. Anyway. So how do we upgrade using PGLogical? First of all, we create a node. This is the publisher node. Okay, this is the data source name and etc. And there's a great function. I love this function, seriously. It's a bit long, but anyway. Replication set add all tables. So it adds all the tables in the public schema to the replication set. Perfect. So if you have multiple schemas, do it the same. Okay. So create your replication sets first. Okay. So this is a quick tip for you. Try creating replications, all the replication sets before subscribing, starting the replication process. It saves time in initial replication, but it's not a must. I think in the official documentation it says, well, use this, but you can first do an initial upgrade of a specific schema. Okay, it works, then continue with the other ones. Okay, that's another approach. And then, in the subscriber, you again create a node, and you run the PG logical create subscription function with the parameters, of course. Once the replication is completed, now we are talking about upgrades. Okay? So you shut down the master, redirect your application to the new server, or use the middleware. So what kind of a middleware can you use in here? Well, if the tables are in sync, make sure that you can redirect your writes to the new machine immediately. Okay? I think there are some people out there working on a solution to solve this problem for Postgres. I know there are people are working on a middleware to minimize the downtime, like 0-second downtime. Okay? Any questions about PGLogical? Again, PGLogical is full open source. Currently as an extension to Postgres, but it is submitted for inclusion for 10.0. Hopefully we will release 10.0 with PGLogical. It's a great thing. So it's another milestone for Postgres, to be honest. And that's it. Okay, any questions about PGLogical? Okay. So the other solution is XDB. XDB is a replication, again, and upgrade solution for Postgres and Postgres Plus Advanced Servers. This is a product by Enterprise DB. It's not open source. It's not open source, but it's a product, and it's a product by Enterprise DB. And I'm sorry, it's not an extension to Postgres. I'm sorry, this is a mistake. I'm sorry, it's not an extension to Postgres. And again, you can use it to upgrade from 9.4 to 9.5. One of the major differences between PGLogical and XDB is XDB is a nice GUI. Okay? So, to be honest, even though I'm not a GUI user, using the GUI is easier for me. Just click, tick, 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 enter the values, subscribe the node, select the tables, and start the replication and finish the upgrade process. Okay? But you don't have to do this because it also has a it has a command line option. Lots of options anyway, for upgrading your database between the major versions. Okay, so of course, again, not thanks. Anyway, due to the restrictions in the logical decoding framework, it can't also replicate the DDLs. However, again, this one also has a workaround. You can use the GUI by replicate DDL, or you can use the command line interface, replicate DDL command to replicate your DDLs. Okay? For example, if you want to add a new column, just to choose replicate DDL on the master definition node, and XDB will apply this. Okay? It also has an option for trigger-based updates, the old school way. I mean, the new version is based on logical decoding, but XDB also has an option for upgrades from 9.1 and above by using triggers, but again, using triggers is your own choice. Okay? You have an option to use MongoDB. You have an option to use Oracle. You can kill yourself. You can use drugs, or you can use triggers. Great. It's all free. Okay? It's all free. It's all free. So one of the things that you should be careful about XDB is the test decoding extension, which is shipped by default by Postgres, okay, must be installed on the publication node for the single master replication or on all nodes for the multi-master replication. Okay? So, setting up the GUI, I'm not going to add lots of stuff in my slides. It's like this easy, like the steps are here. Publisher, you create a publisher node, then subscriber node with a few clicks or whatever the command line tools. You select the tables and start replication and perform the upgrade. Okay? So the approach is like similar to PG Logical. You first replicate your data to the new instance, to the new measure version, I mean. And then once the replication is completed, you can finish the upgrade process by switching to the new instance. Any questions? Okay. So, lessons learned. Always keep your servers up to date, please. You can feel to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, Magnus, I think we are going to release four minor versions each year, right? At least for this year.
At least 4.
At least 4. Okay.
It might be more, but it won't be less.
It won't be less, so we will release 4 minor versions in total this year. If we don't hit any critical updates like security fixes or data loss critical fixes, etc. So those are scheduled. So make sure that you can upgrade you upgrade your database every quarter. Update, minor version update. This is the easier one. Okay, please always use the most updated, up-to-date one before submitting a bug report. For example, if you are using 9.4.0, you are open to security issues, you are open to bugs, lots of data loss issues, etc. And please don't report a bug if you lose your data, because the official answer would be, please upgrade your database first and test if it still works or not. I'm sorry, test that it still fails or not. Okay? So always try to upgrade to new major version to use the new features. We can't know that they work until you use it. Okay? So again, it's easy. Like install them in parallel and test it. It's cheap. Okay? It's cheap. PG dump, another lesson, is not good for large databases. Please don't do this. Try to keep the downtime minimal. Try to keep the downtime minimal. And always test, test, and test. Like in the previous slides, I mentioned about those. Extensions, applications, database instance must all be tested prior finishing the upgrade. Okay? So I started 2 minutes earlier, so may I use the last 2 minutes for questions and comments, please?